of the day.
I want to talk some Common Core.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's important. What I will not do, because it just makes you just crazy, is put everybody's examples that I get through email on the show. There's just no time for that. But
I like a couple of them, though.
Yes. Well, first of all of them are in the show notes, every single one of them. And I have I've uncovered some stuff now that it really just it blew me away.
Okay.
Let me see. Where shall I start? We'll do emails later. Okay. There is something called and you have to see the whole video. It's some parts are interesting. The Freedom Project is now that's a religious group, but they've latched onto the Common Core thing very, very early on, and they uncovered a document which I now have in my possession, which is produced by the Department of Education, and really shows you what the idea is behind the Common Core. And I, of course, have taken this document. I've marked it up in multiple places. I'm going to give you, John, a URL in a minute so you can take a look at it. But I don't want you distracted while I get this started. The title of this is the critical factors for success in the 21st century. This is done in February of 2013, the U.S. Department of Education. This is the Common Core, and the idea behind the Common Core is, when I saw this, like things popped into place for me. Common Core, promoting grit, tenacity, and perseverance. Grit, tenacity, and perseverance.
What?
Yes. Now, we'll get into what this means, but this report was developed under the guidance of the U.S. Department of Education, and, of course, the authors want to thank, my goodness, a whole slew of people, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, it just goes on and on. We'll get to some of the foundations in a moment, but this document talks about the key things that our children need, and that is these grit, tenacity, and perseverance.
Now, is this from the Department of Education during the Arnie Duncan era?
Yes, this is from February. This is from this year.
Okay, so it's this year. So it is the idiot from Chicago, Arnie Duncan.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In the executive summary, I'm not going to read everything, but I have to do some of the important points so you can understand what we're talking about. How can we best prepare children and adolescents to thrive in the 21st century, an era of achievement gaps that must be closed for the benefit of everyone in society? Rapidly evolving technology, demanding and collaborative STEM knowledge work, changing workforce needs, and economic volatility?
Okay, they got STEM in there. I like that.
Yeah. Well, this is basically saying we need a new kind of people, a new kind of worker.
Yeah, because there's no jobs.
There's
economic volatility equals no jobs.
There's a growing movement to explore the potential of the non-cognitive factors, attributes, dispositions, social skills, attitudes, and intrapersonal resources independent of intellectual ability that high-achieving individuals draw upon to accomplish success. If you didn't understand what that meant, it says, in this brief, we take a close look at a core set of non-cognitive factors, grit, tenacity, and perseverance. And this is what your children will be taught. And when I heard the word grit, John, I went, holy crap. I have heard this word 1,000 times. 1,000 times, I tell you. You know who uses this word all the time?
Who?
The president. I take you back to February of this year when this was released, when I first heard it, in his State of the Union.
Tonight, thanks to the grit and determination of the American people, there is much progress to report.
All right. I just grabbed some random things from September.
After a decade in which they'd already been working harder and harder just to get by. It was a crisis from which we're still trying to recover. But thanks to the grit and determination of the American people, we're steadily recovering.
And I just pulled one from October.
Think about it. Globalization and technology means you can go just about anywhere. But there are a whole lot of reasons you ought to come here. We're not just the world's largest market, we're growing. Thanks to the grit and resilience of the American people, we've cleared away the rubble from the financial crisis, and over the past 3.5 years, our businesses have created more than 7.5 million new jobs.
So this is very interesting, this use of the word grit. And this is not by coincidence. We know that this guy never does anything coincidentally. This is coordinated. And I will
definitely.
And you'll see.
And I think it's interesting he used grit and determination. They changed it to grit and resilience.
Go back to the document. What will it take to shift educational priorities to promote not only content knowledge, but also grit, tenacity, and perseverance? This is an important and exciting time to stop, take stock, and prepare to move forward. New and emerging trends in research, policy programs, and technology are providing unprecedented opportunities. And it goes on to say, persistence is now part of the Common Core state standards for mathematics. The popular media also reports on interest in these factors. No, the popular media is not doing that. And then, by the way, John, go to grit.curry.com. Do that now before anyone else in the chat room sees it. And you can download the marked up document, because now is the time you'll want to start looking through that, as I have a couple clips to share with you. The first thing I will share with you is the Common Core Data-Driven Instruction. DDI is what this is called. So this is a document that shows how big data drives your kids' education. And this is a local, I think this might be Tennessee or Missouri. And here's a few educators talking about how great data-driven instruction is, and how fabulous it is for these people who used to be called teachers can use this great...
Go Microsoft!
They even have a Microsoft tune. All right.
Data-driven instruction gives our teachers an opportunity to gauge where students are, their strengths, their weaknesses, to determine what we need to target for individual students that are missing particular areas in the curriculum. An example would be like this is, we take our vehicles to the shop once a month to get the oil checked. And why do we do that? Because we want to make sure our cars keep running. We don't do it once a year.
This is just, our children are like our cars and like our trucks. You got to take them to the shop once a year, have them checked out, have them kick the tires.
We wait until the end of the year, something's going wrong with the car and it won't run smoothly. Well, that's very similar to what we do with data-driven instruction. Every 4.5 weeks, we have common assessments, and from that data, our teachers break the data down with the principal and the curriculum team as well. We look at where our students are performing really good at, and we celebrate those growths.
We celebrate the growth.
We celebrate them with parents, with students, teachers, and make a community aspect. And then we look at the areas that students have what we call hot spots. For example, little Johnny may not be doing so well in math.
Oh, little Johnny.
For a particular month, he may have some issues with fractions, and that data of the 4.5 common assessments we take will pick that up. And when it picks that up, our team immediately goes to work to determine what Johnny did not get. We're going to reteach those objectives to Johnny. We're going to pull him out 20 minutes a day. We're going to work with him.
We take him out back, beat the crap out of him.
Parental support is probably one of the backbones of what makes this work. And we make sure that our car's running smoothly, if you will. We want to make sure that...
Back to the car analogy.
Every student is successful. And that's your student that scores minimal to your student that scores advanced. Every student is important. Every student can learn. Every student can grow.
Data-driven instruction.
All right, so this goes on and on and on. And then, but the end of the day is we don't want to discourage anyone. Everybody wins.
Yeah, everyone's a winner. We all share a secret. Can I mention one thing here?
Yes.
Which is interesting. If you go to the wiki page and look up grit, which has a page dedicated, essentially, the definition of grit is perseverance and tenacity. This is essentially the same word repeated 3 times.
Yes. Well, if you read the document that I just gave you the thing for, grit, tenacity, and perseverance are multifaceted concepts encompassing goals, challenges, and the ways of managing these. We integrate the big ideas from several related definitions in the literature to a broad, multifaceted definition of grit for the purpose of this report. perseverance to accomplish long-term or higher-order goals in the face of challenges and setbacks, engaging the students' psychological resources such as their academic mindset, effort control, and strategy and tactics. What? So not only
this is all coming. If you look at the donors to this, the people that behind this particular.
Wait, before we go there, because I also did the donor thing, and that's important that we talk about the donors behind this crap.
Well, first I just want to generalize. Bill Gates was a lousy student.
He's a dropout.
He was impossible in high school. He couldn't stay in college. He doesn't know shit about education.
Well, if you look at the other organizations that are in on this, it's the Rakes Foundation.
Yeah, Jeff Rakes used to be Bill Gates's
bitch. He used to run the Gates Foundation,
and then he was the guy that should have been the CEO now of Microsoft, but Gates took him over to the foundation and had him be the CEO of the Gates Foundation. So essentially, Bill knocked on his door and said, "Hey, you're given to this. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
We'll do some work."
Well, and then we have the Stupsky Foundation.
Now that one I'm not familiar with. You might be.
Yeah, no, I have it all in the show notes, of course. The Lumina Foundation. So the Stupsky Foundation, which is interesting, if you go to stupsky.org, stupski.org, since this report was released, which was February, you'll see an update from Joyce and Larry Stupsky. In September 2012, after carefully considering our commitments, intentions, and life circumstances, we decided to wind down the work of the Stupsky Foundation. So this foundation that financed Common Core has been closed. I might want to mention with $111 million in the bank. So they've shuttered with all that money they raised or put in themselves, God knows. The Moore family is in on this. That's Gordon Moore from the Moore's Law. So that's all, all Silicon Valley stuff. Now, so back to the Freedom Project. If you look at this document that I gave you, John, the grit.curry.com, and you'll scroll down, you'll see something called effective sensors that is a part of this. Effective sensors. There's actually pictures in the document of what effective sensors are that these children will be hooked up to with their free laptop and or tablet/iPad. Here from this presentation video is an explanation of the effective sensors.
These are effective sensors that the Department of Education has developed and plans to use. That's what this document is all about, is how do we measure the students effectively? There is a facial expression camera. There is a posture analysis seat. There is a pressure mouse. And there is a wireless skin.
Are they becoming Scientologists?
Yeah, you stepped on it. But yeah, so there's a facial expression camera, a posture seat, a pressure mouse, and there's even a strap that you put on your wrist so that you can
e-meter.
Yes, e-meter, correct. Now, what I liked about this video, and I remember these are religious guys who put this video together, but they're drawing the right conclusion. This ties into the bullying that we've been tracking for so long. Not only is the bullying to stifle First Amendment freedom of speech, it is also about homosexuality, or, as I might say, heteroflexibility. And it will tie right into bullying. Listen to the conclusion that is drawn here, which I think is correct. It will happen this way, and it's particularly with these effective sensors.
And under the guise of anti-bullying legislation, if the government is teaching a lesson, or the government teacher is teaching a lesson about homosexual relationships, homosexual marriage, and your kid makes a face, or your kid slouches in her seat, or the pressure on your kid's mouse intensifies, right? Or blood pressure and pulse go skyrocketing, well, then it's fair to reason that your kid has the wrong attitude about homosexuality.
Okay, stop. That's clip of the day right there.
Well, 16 more seconds.
Okay, play the 16 seconds out and follow it immediately with clip of the day.
That kid is being taught to be a bully. And if your kid learned from you, mom and dad, that your faith tells you that homosexuality is wrong, then you're the bullies. You're the ones who are abusing that kid. These are the kind of things that these things will measure.
Yeah.
Clip of the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. You win today's show.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
I'm sure, but right there it says enough.
Here's
the kid squinted. He's got to be taken away from his parents.
Yeah.
What are we living in Sparta?
He flinched about the gay thing. Here is there's a new meme in here that I had not heard of, but is all a part of Common Core.
We had a parent talk with us at a recent meeting.
Just last week.
And the correct answer to one of the Common Core tests was, I think the problem was as simple as 6 times 7. And the correct way to answer that was to draw 42 circles. And I think the child was in third or 4th grade.
And the child wrote 42 for the answer and got it wrong. Because the lesson was, the mother told us, that math is, you're being too close-minded. We want you to be fluent in math. In other words, we want you to be able to talk about what math is. We want you to be able to explain why math is useful. We are not interested in you being able to do math. It's much less important to get the right answer. The word that she used in terms of the way it was explained to her at her school was estimative math. That the purpose of math is to be able to estimate, to be in a ballpark, to be able to have a sense of how math should function.
Yeah, it's kind of there.
Oh my God, that's another clip of the day.
No, I can't accept it because I want these segments to flow and it'll just keep going. Here's a couple of crazy things that have come in from parents, and this is it's becoming a Twitter meme now. Common Core, I guess, is the hashtag. This is here's a screenshot of the answer key for questionable homework assignments from Common Core for 3rd grade grammar, and just listen to the questions. So here it is. Possessive nouns, directions. Make each sentence less wordy by replacing the underlined words with a possessive noun phrase. Write the sentence on the line. So I will give you the problem and the answer. And it's not so much about the question and the answer as it is about what the question is saying. So 1, the job of a president is not easy. The correct answer should be, John?
The job of the president is not easy. It would be the president's job is hard.
It is not easy. That's what it was.
Wait, that was the original thing. The job of the president is not easy.
Right, but you did it correctly. The job of a president is not the job of a president is underlined. So is not easy stays the same.
Oh.
Okay. The people.
Okay, it'd be the president's job.
A president's job.
A president's job.
Not the A. The people.
A president's job is not easy.
The people of a nation do not always agree. And the answer would be a nation's people do not always agree.
Yeah.
The choices of the president affects everyone. This is very subtle what's going on here.
They're basically taking people away from using the passive voice, but they're doing it using propagandistic sentences.
Yes.
So instead of doing it just normally, with the boy meets the girl. And
let's do it. Let's do a couple more.
The president does this, and the president does that, and the president knows everything.
Wait, no. He makes sure the laws of the country are fair.
Is that what he does? I never knew this.
The commands of government officials must be obeyed by all.
What?
Yeah. The wants of an individual are less important than the well-being of the nation. This is what kids are being taught. Third graders. Okay. Now
this is astonishing.
Yeah. Here's something that it took me 15 minutes to figure. You know how you used to have this question like, if John is traveling on the train from Baltimore and the train is going 67 miles an hour and Pete is coming in from New York doing 100 miles an hour, they will both meet in Florida at what time? You know, these problems we used to have in school?
Yeah, it sounds like they'd be easier to answer now with estimative math.
Well, check this out. The assignment is cross out the extra numerical information and solve. A gymnastic meet is 2 hours long. It has 8 competitors, and each competes in 4 events. How many events will be scored? And I had to look at this for like 15 minutes until I figured out that what we used to have to do with like 3 variables.
Yeah, well, in this case, my guess would be you cross out the length of the event.
the 2, right. What is this? Why even put that in there?
So you can cross it out.
It's dumb. It's completely insane. And then we have, let me see, then there's a whole bunch. There's stuff in the show notes, just tons and tons of bubbles. Let me do
this is all propaganda brain training. The crossing out the thing has some function. So you have spurious information that you get rid of. And so you get to the core of the problem of the whatever it is, and then you obey the government's orders. I mean,
something like that.
There's something like that going on.
Here is a not
do what you're told.
Not specifically Common Core, but it comes from My Big Campus. And My Big Campus does surveys that are the parents are not asked if they if it's okay for their kids to take these surveys. You just take the survey. This is from Leo's elementary school. I'm not quite sure where Leo's is. Welcome to Leo's Elementary, and it's online, by the way, in a Google Forms document. Welcome to Leo's Elementary PBI Student Survey. Tell us what you think about our school. Please answer these questions to tell us about you and your school. Answer each question honestly. Your answers will be kept private. No one will be able to tell that your answers came from you. Thanks for your help. Of course, you're inputting it on Google from God knows what machine at school. And I'm going to scroll down here to what do you do after school or on weekends? Select all that apply. Play outside, play in a sports team, dance, play an instrument, act in plays, homework, get tutoring, after-school program, or read. During the past 12 months, have you seen another student with a weapon, like a gun or knife at this school? Remember, your answer will be private. Yeah, I'm sure. I feel safe in my classroom. Agree, disagree. I feel safe in the hallways of my school. Agree, disagree. I feel safe when I walk outside of school. And there's more things. This year, have kids done mean things to you? This year, have kids on the bus done mean things to you? Have you been bullied this year at school? Have you told a parent or teacher about it? Yes, no, I haven't been bullied. Have you been bullied this year at school and told an adult, did the bullying stop? Have you been in a fight at school this year which you and the other person hit or touched one another? Have you ever been robbed at this school? Have you ever smoked a cigarette, even 1 or 2 puffs? Hey, kids! It's ready to firewall! Have you ever drunk beer or alcohol? If you have drank beer or alcohol before, how many times have you drank in the past 30 days? What kind of English is that? If you have drank beer or alcohol before, how many times have you drank in the past 30 days? Is that correct English?
I think it is technically.
Have you ever taken an illegal drug? How many days a week do you usually eat breakfast? It just goes on and on and on. Thank you for taking the survey. And it's powered by Google Drive. Yeah, where all your information is secret and confidential. It's bullshit. Then I have these are all documents. Just go look at them in the show notes. Benchmarking for success, ensuring the U.S. students receive a world-class education. 5 steps toward building globally competitive education systems. 1, upgrade state standards by adopting a common core. Well, we've passed that. And it keeps on going. Action 4, hold schools and systems accountable through monitoring, interventions, and support to ensure consistently high performance drawn upon international best practices. This is slave training, people. This is not school. This is totally slave training, and it really, really needs to be stopped. We may be too late. This has been going on so long, we didn't even know about this.
Yeah, but the February 2013 things means that that's when they shifted into high gear, and that means that we're still within a year of the real push. So I think there's at least we can cause a stir.
Well, we're going to have to support the teachers like Luke, who sent me an email. Adam, your reporting on Common Core standards has been spot on. Throughout my college education and now my first year of teaching, I felt very irked by Common Core standards and the systems that are in place in the public education system. From teaching in Nevada and then moving to Colorado, it seems like the education system is a carbon copy. Teachers and students are truly being turned into drones. I started to do some research after listening to your commentary about Pearson education. I remembered some fairly expensive tests called praxis tests that I had to take in college, and then another test later on in order to get a teaching job. I thought Pearson must have some involvement in this, and then I found an ETS praxis tutorial website made by Pearson. That's praxistutorial.com. I also found an interesting PDF. That's the benchmarking PDF that I put in the show notes. The publication of the benchmarking test was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Basically, teachers and their job securities are held accountable by the scores the students receive on these standardized tests. The publication boils down to the U.S. having to compete with other countries for the best test scores. Well, there you go. We should just have every country, just test score bonanza. Somehow meeting these benchmarks is supposed to save our already doomed economy. Hope this might provide some more insight into the whole Common Core standards abomination. Yeah, well, thank you very much. And yes, this is exactly what is going on.
Well, it's more than that, obviously, because of the watching your facial movements and all the rest of it. I think slave training is exactly what we're talking about here. Truly slave. Well, you got to. How do you manage? You got 300 million people, and you have to manage these people so they don't tear up the place. And of all things, of course, you don't want them taking your stuff. This is always the big deal with the elites.
Don't take my stuff.
And Gates has got a lot of stuff. He's got more than the average bear. So he would be more inclined to find these programs important, because if anybody doesn't want people taking his stuff, it's got to be Bill. So, yeah, no, this is a depressing report. Thank you very much.